Literacy is like the blooming of plants. They must be watered and maintained, and then can become magnificent creations. This is my digital story of my life journey as a literate learner and my future as a teacher of literacy. Literacy is very important in everyday situations. It's the ability to read, view, design, speak, write, and listen in a way that allows one to communicate. This digital story is about my personal experiences and my future goals for teaching literacy. During my studies in English 1, I've learned so many new things about myself and my literacy capabilities. I've learned not to be scared when teaching literacy. It's much more than just reading and writing. It's everyday life experiences. Literacy should be presented to students in a way that is fun and exciting. It should be purposeful, challenging, and include links to prior learning. For my last assignment, I spent ages trying to find a book that was meaningful to me. I found it, an Albert Einstein biography. This book was exciting to me, and it helped me to discover that reading can be fun. We just need to use a range of books to excite the readers and listeners. Literacy is a very important part of my life. I enjoy being able to look at my phone in the mornings, watching the morning news, seeing what I like for breakfast, reading the speedometer in my car, reading the lectures in class, relax on a lazy afternoon and read a magazine. But most importantly, I can communicate with friends, family, and others. Ever since before school, I always had a bright mind. My mother would teach me how to read, write, and do math problems, but I found that I could only learn if I had time to think and reflect on the actual concept myself. When I was brought to school, I understood the majority of concepts being brought forward. In fact, I found schoolwork easy. I had this teacher in year 1. She played a very important part in my love of literacy. She used to have these personal phonics books. We were taught a different sound each week, how to put these together with fun music and activities. Suddenly, everything was making sense. I could see the bigger picture. I enjoyed reading aloud in class. I enjoyed reading to my peers and family. However, when it was time to read alone, I always disliked it. In fact, there are probably only a handful of books that I've actually read through. I think I was a socially literate person. I enjoyed reading and talking to others, but when it came time to read a book alone, it was not fun. I was never sure why this was until English 1. Teachers never actually allowed me to read books that interested me. I was never encouraged or guided. During my professional experiences, I've seen literacy being taught across all KLAs. Teachers have encouraged students to respond orally, pictorially, and in written and digital forms. I've seen use of reading groups, silent reading, and library sessions. I remember one day my supervisor took her class to their library sessions. She allowed them to browse and select books that were interesting to them. The next week before library time, she would have everyone sit in a circle and share their book, what they liked about it, and what they found interesting. I think it's very important for students to find interest and meaning in what they're reading. When I've read books to the class, I've always made sure to use questioning skills to allow students to predict what's happening next, how they may feel in the character's shoes, and the activities should also be fun and interactive. I viewed this video on the English homepage many weeks ago. It was about a man who one day forgot all his literacy skills. The video then explained the importance of literacy. Our minds were never designed for reading the English language. Humans created these unique codes that allowed everyone to communicate. I've learned through personal experiences that literacy should be altered so that it best fits the student or learner. Everyone learns differently, and it's our responsibility to use multiple techniques to interest all students. I aspire to be a great literacy teacher. Although I've experienced times where reading was not interesting, I do not want my learners to feel like this. I'd like my classroom setting to be fun and interactive. I'd like to begin by building a solid foundation of phonemic awareness, allowing students to understand how words are built. There will be readers available that suit the interests of my students, including a range of texts such as newspapers, novels, comics, and magazines. There should also be special reading areas for students, games and interactive activities, and parents and caregivers should have the opportunity to be involved in the learning process. I would do all I can to ensure literacy is relevant and meaningful to my students. Let's have a look at the social model of literacy. We have our 4 models of literacy. The code breaker, which is understanding what a text says, knowing the relationship between sound, symbols, grammar, and the structures of text. Then we have the text user, identifying and using the social purposes of text, which are written, digital, visual, and spoken. We have our text participant, which is making sense of texts and linking them to personal experiences and prior knowledge. And lastly, we have text analyst, which is understanding the purposes of text, how it impacts readers, viewers, and listeners. Students need to understand the build-up of text. They should read multiple texts that link to their personal, relevant experiences. They should also understand the social purposes and how it can impact the reader.